I had a viewer write in and said he had a knocking or clunking sound, especially when he's standing on the pedals and climbing uphill. I asked him if it occurred when coasting. He said, no, just when I'm really forceful on the pedals I hear this knocking sound. Well, let's take a look at what can cause a knocking or clunking sound when pedaling but not coasting. We'll start with the easiest things first and then progress down to some of the more difficult problems to look at. By the way, we'll take a look at what causes clunking sounds when pedaling and coasting at the end of the video. The headset by holding the brakes and rocking the bike back and forth and listening for a clunking sound. Sometimes if you look closely, holding the front brake, you can see that there's some play occurring in the headset. If you notice either of these, it's an easy fix, just a headset adjustment as shown in the video in the upper right. Make sure both wheels are seated properly and the quick release or through axle is nice and tight. Check for a loose cassette or freewheel by pushing on the cassette or freewheel and seeing if there's any play. If so, we can fix this problem. Take a look at the video in the upper right. Finally, let's turn our attention to the bottom bracket. Make sure the crank fixing bolt on both sides is nice and tight. If you have a torque wrench, torque to specifications. On some bicycles, especially new ones, the crank bolts, fixing bolts, are on the non-drive side. Next, we want to assure that each of the chainring bolts are nice and tight. If the chainring bolt starts to slip, turn as we tighten, we may need a special tool, which I have here, that will hold the chainring bolt from the rear as you proceed to tighten. Two other quick checks of the bottom bracket. Rotate the crank towards the C-tube and push on the C-tube and crank. Feel for any movement or noise. And do that for both sides. You can also grab each crank and pull and push and see if there's any movement or noise as you do this, indicating you probably have a loose bottom bracket. If all else looks good, it's time to focus more on the bottom bracket, which may need to be overhauled, greased, bearings replaced. Best done by an expert in this area, your local bike store or good mechanic. One note, what about those cases where you hear a knocking or clunking sound when pedaling, but also when coasting? Knocking or clunking when pedaling and coasting really suggests that we should take a look at the freewheel or free hub or the bearings in the hub itself. Your local mechanic or bike store can help you with that. If you have any questions, additions, please comment below. Subscribe to keep up with our latest videos. This is Tony of Tony 10 Speed. Safe cycling.